Welcome to the Granite Mountain Movie Club. Today we are discussing the new movie, Backrooms. To hear the full episode, please become a paid subscriber to the Granite Mountain Movie Club, and don't forget to check out the show sponsor, exitgroup.us. Thank you, now enjoy the show.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're coming through loud and clear.
Okay, yeah. Here, let me put this huge wad of gum away.
Yeah, keep it in. Let's get some gum sounds.
Got some big league chew.
Get some gum sounds in the mic.
Trident original. There
you go.
Yeah.
Swear by it.
That's what I do instead of brushing my teeth. I'm just kidding. I'm just
chewing
joking.
some Nicorette like a real man. So.
Okay, hey, welcome, Arturo, and Arturo, how you doing, by the way?
I'm doing well. Well, as always, you know.
Yes.
Excited to tackle another, youth movement horror classic.
Yeah, the Spurs have made the finals, which I
That's
said they
true.
would.
Another example of a successful youth movement,
Yeah.
I'm now officially older than, Victor Wembanyama, Curry Barker, Kane Parsons, I'm officially unk, but, I'm embracing middle age, I guess.
It's okay.
There you go.
It's good. And then we've got a returning guest, one of our most beloved guests of all time. He was on, I don't know, it was a year or two ago.
I think it was a year. Yeah. Was it Annihilation or was it?
It was Annihilation, which I may bring up tonight. I may reference.
Good episode.
Oh, yeah. So, but we've got Gio Pennacchietti here, Canada's finest painter. How are you doing, Gio?
I don't know if I'm the finest. I don't know if I compete with Ken Mockman, but no, I'm doing all right.
Dude, I would take you over Ken Mockman any day of the week.
Good, that's good. I'm glad.
Googling Ken Mockman right now.
Okay, listen. Do not research. I hate Ken Mockman. Google. I mean, you shouldn't do this, but just in case, if you want to laugh, right? Google Ken Mockman, Justin Trudeau painting Indigenous. You're going to have a wild ride explaining this painting to people.
I'm doing it now.
It's a good conversation piece.
Oh, wait, what's going on in this painting? I'm trying to... Partially nude Trudeau with laughing women.
He's getting buck broken.
Oh, all the images are like... okay, now I finally have one that's the full thing. Oh, my goodness. That's supposed to be Trudeau in the Mountie uniform?
No. Trudeau is getting buck broken by the Indigenous person in the Mountie uniform while they hold him down, the Indigenous women, the elder women.
Oh, man. It's incredible stuff. All right, well, Gio, how are you doing?
I'm all right.
So everyone should, Gio, if you don't know, if you're not familiar with Gio stuff, and we were just talking before I hit record that Twitter, now X, is a hard place to be if you're a person who, sells art or trying to sell your takes or trying to sell your essays or something. Twitter is just not what it used to be for all that. So you need to go to, what's your domain name?
GiantArtProductions.com.
Okay, I'll put a link to that in the description. You got to go there. You got to follow him on whatever platform he's using, and you got to buy his paintings, and you got to subscribe to. What shows do you do right now? You do the one with Prudentialist, right?
Yeah, Digital Archipelago, which is on my YouTube channel, which is Giant Productions, and also his YouTube channel, Prudentialist. So, I mean, I have that. I have Content Minded, which is my podcast, and Patreon.com /Giant Productions, and also Substack, Gio's Content Corner. So that's if you want to support the work.
I'll link to all this. You gotta go support him. We might have there's a migration happening, slow migration.
Oh yeah,
off of X. I mean, I still it's where I still do most of my work is on X, but you can sense it.
Academic Agent just left Twitter for good. He had a whole video about it. Yeah.
I guess, whenever someone says they're leaving Twitter for good, I'm like, give it 3 weeks. But I did hear about that. It could be the real McCoy this time. So.
Yeah. I mean, I think I kind of applaud somebody that has that like fortitude because as much as I bellyache and bitch about Twitter, I can't see myself like. I've certainly taken a hit though. I mean, I'm not going to leave for good, but I've certainly like the algorithm hates me because I try to like post about different stuff, and I'm trying to find a different niche. Well, I mean, I know what I'm aiming for, but like Twitter hates that. They like just punish you for no reason. Not no reason. They punish you for like not contributing to like your specific networked algo correlation
Yeah.
of like take selling. So
Yeah, the Nikita guy is very explicit about that. He's like, just pick a thing and only talk about that thing.
yeah,
If you deviate from that thing, you will be punished.
I'm sorry, that's evil. He's such a fucking piece of shit. I can't. I was gonna Fed post. I was gonna say something, but that to me, as someone who believes in good content, who believes in having a sort of well-colored palette of different choices in terms of what you're putting out there, that's like totally evil. That punishes creativity, and it's like to me, it's just corporate bullshit nonsense. And anyone that trusted this fucking guy or trusted Elon Musk, it's just a huge fell for it again award. I'm sorry. I can't hide. But enough about Twitter. Twitter kind of is like the Backrooms when you think about it.
Yeah. Well, I can't be too harsh on Elon. He is going to give me $5 billion to make movies. I've been talking about this. Maybe it'll happen, but
that's true. But you have to be a little. You have to play a little hardball with him. You have to levy a few critiques just so he knows that you can't just skate by without doing his bit.
Yeah.
You got to stay on his ass.
Yeah.
Then you're gonna like get the rights to something. You're never gonna release the film. It's gonna be like Vincent Gallo with Memories Etched in Water, and then Elon's just gonna tweet, "Release the film, you bastards!" Like that's. You gotta play hardball with them.
Well, yeah, that's a vision of the future.
Yeah.
I hope maybe we can get there.
Sorry, it was Promises Written in Water. I'm sorry, Promises Written in Water.
Well, okay, so I want to let the audience know. I mean, the reason I reached out to you, is because there's a couple reasons. You're really, really good about a lot of this like internet. I guess I'd call it like internet anthropology, or like you just sort of like know all this stuff. And the Backrooms. This movie, we're talking about the new Backrooms movie today, and that's born out of like all this internet stuff. And also I remember, I think like last year you were doing like a couple episodes on this book House of Leaves, which is obviously somewhat similar. People are mentioning that like kind of in the same paragraphs as Backrooms. So I was curious if you could start us off a bit and tell people like, where did this come from? Where did this Backrooms thing come from? And like what, and like out of what like milieu, I guess, did it come from? Like what else was going on there? And like, is it an especially interesting example from that time and place, or is there a bunch of these?
Well, there was so if you were talking about like the Backrooms proper, I mean, there's different people that claim authority, but it's very hard to tell because the original 4chan post, which really sparked it, instantiated a lot of like the theme of it, and people debate like if they actually found the original photo, if it was just an artistic creation, so on and so forth. There's been like many megabytes, terabytes of YouTube video essays on this topic, but I think that inspired by the original 4chan post, we all read it, the madness of Mono Yellow, all that stuff. But there was also at that time a lot of different things going on with YouTubers, early YouTube, going like trying to explore the possibilities of found footage. Because like found footage was like something that was very easy to translate into like an indie budget YouTube people just with a camera type of deal. So you had like the Marble Hornets thing, which I believe that was Slenderman, right?
I don't know. That's the early version of Slenderman.
Yes, I believe that was the early version of Slenderman. Then you had a lot of the creepypasta stuff, people get confused. They claim that the Backrooms came from creepypasta. It was the 4chan post. I'm not exactly an authority, but then there were people that were doing video edits with Blender of the Backrooms even before Kane Pixels, if I recall. But Kane Pixel took it to the next level. Kane Parsons, who's the director of this film.
Mm-hmm.
And so he created what I think was a very interesting take, bringing the Backrooms into like mythos on the internet proper, because he expanded it into psychologizing about what would be the human experience of this liminal space, instead of just the whole like you're in this place that is wholly unknown and you're chased by some monster, some kind of Slenderman-esque black being, whatever. And so he was doing a lot of very innovative concepts, one of them being that corporations would eventually use it for, massive storage and data centers and so on and so forth. But a lot of the idea of it is the reason I had this whole series where I broke down the Danilewski book House of Leaves, not just because I found it very fascinating and then people that I knew found it very fascinating, was because I feel like that book back in the late 90s, early 2000s, coming out as a series of blog posts, that really did speak to sort of, or rather it anticipated a moment that millennials and Zoomers would strongly identify with, even though it was sort of that era of Gen X postmodern literature. Like, it came after, but it was in the same time period as, say, like David Foster Wallace, DFW, right? Mm-hmm. Not that they're the same, but in terms of like experimental literature that was starting to find a voice on the internet, that was like prime real estate for what was going to happen later on, right? So, it's a lot of the origins of it is murky, but I think a lot of people center on the Kane Pixels expansion because it's certainly the most coherent presentation of the Backrooms, and people debate endlessly about like, should is monsters in it, like SPC type of deal, is that integral lore, or is it about just that feeling of liminality and that sort of hypnagogical dream space of like waking consciousness, that sort of space between the dream world and consciousness that's become so, I think especially after COVID, became such a powerful thing.
On the liminality thing, like for the folks at home who are stupid and don't know anything, what does it even mean? What is, like, we've been talking, I've been hearing it thrown around for 10 years, liminal spaces and all that.
Well, okay,
I think I know what it means, but
yeah. People like to debate the term, but like even if you just Google it, liminal space, psychological or physical, psychological place of transition in between this. Okay, so what people don't understand, people, even like YouTube video essayists some of them get it. Some of them are pretty good. Like most of them are terrible. Like most of them, like these big ones, like these like left-coded video essayists, like Jacob Geller and Horace's. Like, okay, I admit they are university grads, and so I'm not going to knock them. But like the vast majority of people that talk about liminality, I think they don't realize that they're talking about what the philosopher and ontologist Mark Ogg called the non-place, which is distinct to industrial and now post-industrial societies in terms of like late capitalism and crafting huge mostly urban public spaces that have a sheer use value and utility and don't have and again, he's talked, a lot of it comes up with, a lot of what he was writing about comes up with like Martin Heidegger, places that lack a distinct notion of dwelling or identification with a culture, identification with the geography or with the people that inhabit such spaces. So for example, if you go to a bus terminal or a doctor's office or a McDonald's anywhere in the world, that is essentially a non-place. Mm-hmm. They are sort of like the hyper object physical location of modernity. Hotel rooms are another like big one, right? Like that's, again, that comes from like even in the work of art. Like one of my favorite artists that I wrote essays about is of course Edward Hopper. And so people are fascinated by spaces that we spend most of our lives around, but ultimately have no sort of real sense of identification apart from one's personal identification, rather than an identification in a dwelling of a culture, a space that has a sacred significance, you could say. And so, if you even like just go to, like, for example, Wikipedia, they'll like throw around references to like Mark Fisher and COVID and so on and so forth. And that's, definitely important. But they seem to be spaces that are haunted largely by personal memory. It's just that most people, like, for example, if you grew up as a millennial in North America in particular, you have a very common experience with, say, say one of your friend's birthday and they have some kind of party place with laser tag or whatever at some industrial. Or they like converted some industrial park into like a kid's party palace or whatever they call it. It's like, you have those integral memories, or you go in the movie theater. And so when people talk about liminal spaces, they're talking about physical space, but they're more so talking about an ontology of memory, and why most of our lives are basically governed by physical spaces that by design have a just brute force utility.
Yeah, I've been, the follow-up question I was going to ask is about like, why does this resonate? Like, why are these images so like evocative to people? And I've been in situations where maybe in a professional context, I was like planning a conference, and I had to go in advance to like this conference center, and it's like it's in a hotel or something, right? And it's like or even there's even these like event spaces that are just for this sort of thing, and it's like a room, and it's fully carpeted, but it's like flat, like it's like there's maybe a stage, but it's like small, and it's just this massive room that's like 1 million square feet, and you could fit 10,000 people in there or whatever. But when you're the only one there, like when I'm going in advance, just to check out the space, and like all the lights are off, or like only a few lights are on, there's something like there's a very strange feeling that comes with that. Whereas I've been in like sports stadiums, like, or in arenas when those are empty, and that's not the same, because I don't know if it's like because those places have such a coherent and obvious like purpose.
Right.
But like these big open empty spaces where it's like, this looks like a living room, but times 1 million. There's something weird about that.
Yeah, because it's a confusion. It's an uncanny valley of the real.
Well, Gio, actually, I know you're a big theory cell in many ways.
Oh yeah.
Would you like the sort of the way that liminality is applied to the Backrooms generally, but like especially, and we can sort of transition. It's talking about like this specific film itself that just came out. It feels to me almost like it's more like what Foucault refers to as like a heterotopia.
Yes, exactly. I was going to mention that. Yeah.
No, yeah, because liminal obviously once a term of theoretical art kind of becomes used en masse, it loses a bit of its specificity, and like it almost becomes like churlish to be like, oh, that's not really what liminality means. I mean, like once people decide that's what it means, that kind of is what it means. But I do think
exactly.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not like a huge expert, but like from my understanding of what a heterotopia is, it's kind of like it's like a place within a place, or like a place within society that like reflects society in a sort of bizarro way, almost like its internal hierarchy or its internal logic is almost like a funhouse mirror of. I think the examples he used were like prisons, or like, because it was Foucault, of course, you talked about like Turkish baths and shit.
Brothels, yes.
So watching this, I do feel like the Backrooms is there seen in this film, or almost more of, it's like, I mean, it is like a bizarro version of first his furniture store, but then almost it becomes like a bizarro version of like the memories of the people who engage with it.
Well, real quick, I'm going to say that as far as it's something for me, like the sort of the things that generate the most like internal response for me are large spaces. And in that way, in the movie, it's kind of weird because I almost felt like the store was a more powerful like visual than the Backrooms. Like just his big store. And we'll try and do our best for like maybe a few more minutes to not spoil too much. Not that this isn't really a spoil movie. You just kind of experience it. But his store is like this big furniture store, and I've gone to many like this, but the ones I've gone to in real life generally have about 100% more actual furniture. His store is pretty sparse.
Yeah.
So his store is more compelling to me than maybe the Backrooms themselves.
I think his store is a bit anachronistic because if it's set in the 90s, furniture stores were way more populated back then, before like fucking Temu and Amazon. His store going out of business would be more apt, say, around the early 2000s or 2008 than the mid 90s.
Yeah.
Like even the mid 90s, I feel was unnecessary just as nostalgia bait and having the grainy camera, which, you know, I don't think is Kane Parsons' fault. Like I was quickly gunning through this video review of it by my friend Kino Corner. He had a more skeptical take on it. And he's like, the thing is, it's not necessarily Kane Parsons. It's just that A24 surrounded him with like Hollywood screenwriters and and stuff like that. And so I think if it was just like, you know, here's $1 million, do what you want, that would be much different. But I think it's, you know, there's obviously like the way that the nonce-wood sausage is made, you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
But Arturo brought up a great point about the heterotopias as a society within a society. And, you know, Foucault has different levels of it. For example, he talks about heterotopias of suspension, where the ordinary function of daily life is almost inverted, where the values that one pursues in, like, you know, whatever you want to call it, like Western capitalist society, whatever you know, those values are inverted, for example, in a hospital, where you are basically in a state of suspension of life. And, you know, for example, after Foucault, you have thinkers like Giorgio Agamben that talk about the state of the homo sacer and the suspension of the law, the suspension of ordinary life. But also, like, Foucault talks about how they do have like weird rituals within a social organization that then create or perpetuate their own social rules of engagement. So one of the examples he uses, of course, like, you know, like a bathhouse or public urinals, you know, like you could tell where he's going with that, but like it is a good point because you have ostensibly this very private thing of purging and purification, but now it's in a public space, right?
Or like it's not like sort of the normal society might want to describe this as an anarchistic place, but it's not really. It has its own rules. The rules are just like an inversion of like you, if you went into a bathhouse and like sort of like did the ritual in the wrong way, like you would get like the other people involved would be mad at you in the same way that like a normal, you know, just acting. It would be the same way as like going into like a normal place and acting weird. Just to get, you have to still
in the
follow
80s
the rules.
You get your ass beat, in the 80s. You know, I don't want to mention what they would do to you in an 80s bathhouse if you started behaving weirdly, but you know, it's not like nowadays, right? You can't just
Dr. Fauci may have documented some of that.
You can't just pull the mask off the gimp in a leather club. It's not, you can't do that. You know what I mean?
No, exactly.
Yeah, Dr. Fauci. Yeah. He had like the one-way mirror, like the CIA style. You know? That was like that movie. They made that movie of the band plays on, what it was called.
Yeah.
And they're like taking the one scientist is like taking the popper bottle, because that was like one theory, right? That was like that the amyl nitrate was like causing it, which is not true, but like I'm you know, that's another fascinating topic of research, the whole AIDS thing. We've all read the Shallow Forums thread, but no, anyways, so yeah, there's very much.
But I want to sort of transition off that because that's an interesting.
Yeah, go ahead.
This isn't really why Fauci was mentioned, but 1990 to me is such an interesting time to put it because it wasn't that long ago. Like a lot of people still remember 1990, even people who are not that old.
Yeah.
I mean, don't name that just people like people who are like grown adults in positions of power in 1990 are like still alive now. It's not like, but at the same time, like I was not alive in 1990, but I like
Right, me neither.
Kane Parsons was like really not alive in 1990. So to
Yeah.
him, this might as well be like, you know, ancient history.
I saw that
That's
Kane
old.
Parsons was not alive when YouTube started.
No, that's great. I have a younger brother who's like exactly his age, and it fascinates me to think of. But what I find interesting is that like his like I sort of like that it's like 1990 from the perspective of somebody who's like who was born into a world where that was almost already
dead and gone.
Yeah, because it does give it a sort of uncanny sheen that I think works. Like it, I wasn't there, but I can just tell like this isn't really what 1990 was like. Even though like on one level, all the aesthetic signifiers were like very well chosen. Like he clearly like consulted like 90s Pinterest boards or whatever, like in a very studied way. So I'm not even saying that as like a neg, but at the same time, like you just can't. Like there's just something off about it. But I think that it almost made the entire world seem Backrooms-ish. You know what I mean?
I don't want to.
It reminds me of sorry, one more thing. Just do you know the Langoliers by Stephen King?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
How like. It's like it eats the past, but then like when they accidentally get stuck in the past, it's like a sort of dead zone. It's like a dead, gray, like lifeless. It almost this is like a 1990. It is like the past, even though the characters are in it. Like it just got
there's nobody there.
Sheen.
Yeah, there's nobody there.
One thing for I don't want to do Zoomer bashing. I mean, Zoomer bashing is allowed and welcome, but I'm not going to do too much of it. But there is this isn't even bashing. It's just a funny thing where. Being 1990, I think for a certain type of Zoomer is in itself that's the scary part. Like something to that they're like 1990. That is to them that's somehow scary.
I don't know though, because a lot of the culture has been like this worship of 90s and 2000s nostalgia. Like I think what I think is that when Zoomers fantasize about the 90s, what they're really fantasizing about is what their older millennial brothers, sisters, cousins went through in the early 2000s. Like if you're doing a music video with, Somewhere I Belong by Linkin Park, like that's pure that's like not even late 90s. That's like early 2000s culture. And a lot of the early
1990 is not really even the 90s. It's like George H.W. Bush is president.
Yeah, it's the extension of the 80s. Yeah. The real 90s came about around like 93, 94, 95. That was like even the transition in music towards like what I would call like peak chud culture. The early 90s still had a lot of the influences of the 80s, the way the early 2000s had a lot of the mid 90s influence, right? So like I would say 2001 was when we truly arrived in the 21st century for all the wrong reasons, right?
I would agree. I just quick cut it. I feel like my internet went out for a second. Can you see if like the stream is still recording uninterrupted?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You show fine. You're green.
Okay, okay, good. Yeah. Sorry, I just cut out for a second. I just didn't want to be like, we do another hour and none of it records.
There was one Easter egg of like the balloon from one of the Backrooms edits that Kane Pixels put in the beginning of like wherever it is. Where is it set? Arizona or Utah or?
I know there's palm trees, but then they filmed in Vancouver.
But everybody films in Vancouver.
I had to look this up. Do they have palm trees in Vancouver?
No.
Google said they did, but those Google AI thing lies to me all the time, so I don't know.
Yeah, I would take that with a huge grain of salt.
Yeah.
So these were maybe digitally added or something, but maybe they were supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be California.
I swear, didn't someone in our group chat say it was filmed in San Diego? That's what I thought
it was filmed in Vancouver. Maybe I'm way off.
I mean, you could be right. That talk could be wrong, but you know.
I'm gonna go. Where is Backrooms set? The Backrooms does not have a fixed real world location. Okay, this makes sense. Actually, I was gonna bring this up. Where I think in our last episode I mentioned the movie It Follows, and in the movie It Follows, they do a bunch of things to make it to obfuscate the time setting. Like you can't tell if it's like the 2000s or the 90s or the 2020s,
which is a Backrooms theme with the time signatures on the recording.
Yeah, but then I noticed in Backrooms where I couldn't figure out where it was supposed to be set. I'm like, oh, they're probably digitally adding these palm trees to like mess with you. So it's like sometimes it feels like the Midwest, sometimes it feels like the West Coast, and it's like it's nowhere. Like that. Maybe that's
wherever like downwardly mobile proles are. Fellaheen's, yeah. But can we? are we gonna focus on the? Should we focus on the movie?
We can
or-
do whatever. I
Yeah.
am gonna steer us toward the movie, but I was gonna ask you initially, does the movie work for you guys?
I honestly,
This concludes the free preview. For full access to this and other episodes, visit the Granite Mountain Movie Club Substack. Thanks for listening.